Hello and welcome back to another session of Kopi Chats with me, your host Wei Lin. As usual, we'll be talking about all that makes the news in our part of the world: Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia, Southeast Asia more broadly. And today, I've got meme-worthy news for you. Let me tell you what I mean. I'll jump right into it. Whoa, that's a big title, but it's only the appetizer, if you will. So after the recently concluded U.S. ASEAN summit, where President Joe Biden and his cabinet met with leaders from 10 ASEAN countries, several of them have continued working. In particular, here the Prime Minister of Thailand. It didn't even appear in newspapers. It was not, like a major visit. But Mr. Prayud, hardworking man, decided to meet up with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to discuss deepening, broadening American investment in Thailand, which is exactly what he should be doing. And I applaud him for his good work promoting Thailand. But that's not the main thing, because this is absolutely boring. I mean, he's doing his job, and everybody should. It won't appear in a newspaper. And no, it's not that kind of thing. But I wanted to give him credit for that, because not everybody does that. For instance, the Malaysian Prime Minister of my country, went right back home after the meeting, after the summit, and here he is being greeted at the airport by people holding up all kinds of signs of support for the Prime Minister, who arrived back in Malaysia right after the summit. Of course, this being Twitter, many people criticized him for staging this PR event. Well, maybe it's organic, maybe it's not. I mean, it's not such a big deal. This is reported by the State News Agency of Malaysia, Bernama. And I want to just give a brief shout out to Singapore Prime Minister PM Lee. He did not have any special thing lined up this time round, because I think perhaps he had just spent some time speaking with the Council on Foreign Relations on his last visit to the US, which was a mere 2 months ago. So he's only been there very recently. No reason to stay on longer. He probably did everything that he wanted to do. But the real star of the show this time around is President Jokowi of Indonesia. President Jokowi, as he's affectionately known, visited SpaceX.
Hi, very good to meet you. Welcome to Starbase.
Here he is hanging out with Elon Musk. So they go on to have a little tour, a little chit-chat time, checking out the rockets.
Di Indonesia. Saya rasa ini tidak hanya berkaitan dengan Tesla, tetapi tadi juga ditunjukkan mengenai proyek besarnya mengenai SpaceX. Artinya urusan teknologi saya kira memang Elon super genius.
Elon, any thoughts about the President Jokowi visit today to your company today?
Sure. Well, I'm very excited about the future of Indonesia, and I'm really fired up by people in Indonesia seem very optimistic and positive about the future, which is awesome. So I think Indonesia has tremendous potential, and I think we're going to look closely from a Tesla and SpaceX standpoint to try to do some partnerships in Indonesia, and I think, I'm really fired up by how fired up you all are. Like your positive energy.
So that's how it went. So it was okay, and it was reported also on the Indonesian Presidential Secretariat, where it's reported that Elon Musk will be visiting in November. He didn't confirm that in the YouTube video, but that appears to be confirmed in this report by the Presidential Secretariat. It says here, mudah-mudahan di bulan November. So saying that, expressing his hope that if everything goes well, in November we'll visit. So, and also in this visit, it's also mentioned that the focus will be on Tesla and SpaceX, I believe. The visit, Tesla has previously already spoken to, or rather, Elon Musk, I think, has previously spoken to President Jokowi. They have Tesla's already made a visit. I think they were trying to secure access to lithium mines for battery production. I discuss it in the video that I will link somewhere around here. Please watch out for it. And this is just a follow-up on that. It's not something that came out all entirely out of the blue. But yes, big kudos to Pak Jokowi, clearly the most hardworking president who visited the US, last week. So the visit took about an hour. That's what I'm led to understand. And just promised a visit. Talk about, I guess, things like, will you be, taking up the lithium mine for the battery project? And the BBC, I found this report from the BBC that said that there's already at least one candidate for their launch pad for SpaceX. And I think, they already revealed that they had spoken about SpaceX, Tesla and SpaceX. And it seems like, it would only, be totally reasonable to be looking for a launch site for your rockets. So the BBC piece quotes some sources saying that it could be this island called, Biak, right? And speaking to one of the people who live there, Mr. Marcus, it says that, if it's built, if our children and grandchildren no longer be able to rely on the land to make a living, he told BBC, it would destroy the sea and forests. And I really don't like this kind of reporting from media like the BBC. Every time there's a development project in a developing country, it'll all be about, oh no, it's so bad, it's going to destroy the natural environment, right? But it's never the case, it's never the case if it, there's development in, say, Singapore. Oh no, destroy the natural environment. Or New York. Oh no, terrible. New York's natural environment will be destroyed. No, never. It's always the developing countries like Indonesia, India, that will be subject to this sort of thing. Like, don't they also want to have electricity and nice schools? Maybe some cars? Isn't that a thing? Come on, BBC. Right, but anyway, it looks like it's a nice place. It's really remote though. It's also mentioned that it's flush with nickel and copper, which are useful in the manufacture of rockets. That's what it says. I don't know if that's true. And you can see on the map here, Indonesia, here, north of Australia. Papua is on the west side of Indonesia, and this shaded part here will be East Timor. One of the newest countries in the world. Papua is here, this big place here, and West Papua. I think Biak. Biak is this island up here, and this will be the site. What is it? Looks like it'll be about a kilometer along every direction. Yeah. So I find it very difficult to believe that this square kilometer is so crucial to this. It's indivisible. You absolutely cannot have people on it, and poor Mr. Marcus and his whole village will be wiped out if somebody's dares to build a spaceport there. I just find that unacceptable. Look at this. I mean, it's just unacceptable. There will be killings. We cannot move to any other place. If we are, there will be hereditary killings. There will be conflict between clans that have the rights to the land and clans who want to enter the land. So please bear with me, as I make my case against this BBC article. It's a guess, right? Like, are you sure that there will be hereditary killings? No, but how? Because how could you be sure, right? Maybe they'll work out a solution, or maybe they'll argue and fight. Maybe nobody will get killed, or maybe plenty of people. It's possible, but it just seems rather irresponsible, to just report that, oh my gosh, there will be killings. Wouldn't it be more accurate to say there may be killings? But I guess that doesn't make as good a headline. And if you move to any other place, do you not think that you'll be given some kind the villagers be given some kind of compensation, and to give up their land. Do you think that there's nothing that would convince them to move? Is there nothing like if you promise that you would have schools that teach their kids to actually be engineers? Do you not think that'll be like pretty damn attractive? Give their kids education to make money and buy cars. Do you not think that's attractive? Do you not think that the government's able to move them someplace where the land is equally, if not more, attractive and richer? It just seems like a lack of imagination and just really, really finding a way to make the worst of the situation, right? Most projects in Papua only create for conflict for us. So I accept that some people would say that. Are you telling me that all the villagers believe that? It seems like rather unlikely. So I don't really like this. But they reported on the spaceport, so I'll just quote their article. According to Mr. Jamaluddin, I think he's the head of the Space Agency of Indonesia. Lapan, that's Space Agency, exploring two possible scenarios, two sites. Not two sites, but two scenarios for the spaceport. One is a small-scale site, and one is a large-scale site. So the small-scale site would just be using whatever they currently have. And to me, that sounds perfectly reasonable, right? Why wouldn't you? You start with a small-scale site, and if at some point in the future, the development of the site requires that it be expanded, then you expand it, right? And by then, because the site is a success, you'd be willing to put more into persuading the locals to move, right? You give them even more money to move, or give them even more incentive to move, right? I understand that people, can want to fish in their ancestral land, perform their ceremonies on ancestral land. Are you telling me that when there's no launch going on, you can't find a way to bring those people, onto their ancestral land where it's, when it's not dangerous, there's no rocket launch going on, and then, escort them, help them to carry out their ancestral traditions, and maybe even, invite them, say, inaugurate the facility, perform rituals or to bless the rocket each time it's to be launched? That sounds like a great thing. Who wouldn't want to be involved? If you told me I was a villager and you told me that you can perform a ritual to bless the rocket and it'll be named after your tribe or something, that would be amazing. So it feels like, yeah, BBC, shame on you, really party pooper. And they conclude by saying that, all this is all this development is one way to pull a politically contentious area closer to the capital. So it's not just about the space launch, but possible economic revenue. It's also a political operation, if you will. And what I would call this is just, it's development, because governments should offer development to their people. They should do a good job for that. That's what they expect, right? So why so sinister? It's just an obvious thing to do. Anyway, so it looks like Indonesia, is proceeding, in the right direction to attract Tesla and SpaceX, with Mr. Musk to invest in Indonesia, to build a spaceport, maybe electric cars as well. Make it a center of, like study of rocketry, maybe a talent center for Indonesia, which I think President Jokowi has already shown his, proven his intention in this area. I've already done videos previously discussing Indonesia's interest in, adopting nuclear power broadly, for cleaner energy, because right now energy generation is tremendously polluting in Indonesia. So, he's moving Indonesia up the value chain in economic activity, and yes, in power, in rocketry, in electric cars. He's just doing a number of great things, and it's his term is coming to a close. It seems like a great way to sign off. Now, the one thing that you may not have heard is that Indonesia, the one thing that seems like it might put a spanner in the works is Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter. Well, because, Elon Musk is a free speech guy, and Indonesia is not known as a free speech place. So let me tell you what I mean, okay? Let me build this case for you. Exclusive from Reuters, Indonesia is preparing tough new curbs for online platforms, according to sources. So here we go. Indonesia is preparing, tough new rules that will allow it to fine and criminally charge internet and social media platforms. Yes, these are the rules will call for platforms to remove unlawful content quickly. Yes. Companies will be required to take down content deemed unlawful within 4 hours if a request is designated as urgent. And other requests will have to be met within 24 hours. Let's see. The measures being drafted by Indonesia's Finance and Communications Ministries. Right. What else? Yes. So these the regulation will include content, perceived as sensitive in areas like security, terrorism, public order, child protection, and pornography. Wait a minute. Those sound perfectly reasonable. Perfectly reasonable, right? Security, terrorism, public order, child protection, pornography. Yeah, these are kind of things that, you don't like censorship, but you can kind of see. These are like pretty typical things. Like them or not. You don't have to like them. You just have to. I just am asking that you see that these are pretty typical. Nothing out of the ordinary here. After receiving an official complaint, companies will be fined per item of content, with fines rising longer content stays on platforms. So yeah, there will be content, and there will be a list of content to be removed. Companies will be given time, and the more time that passes without action, of course, the larger the fine. Okay. You can understand what they're trying to do, right? Platforms that fail to comply with requests on too many occasions could be blocked, and their staff could face criminal sanctions. Yeah, that sounds pretty serious, right? But I think at this point it's worthwhile mentioning that when was the last time you heard that any social media giant was held accountable, for obeying the laws in the countries that they operate? Because you never heard of that, right? There's never been a case of like, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram is Facebook, TikTok, our executive being hauled up to court, before refusing to comply with some government order to remove some offending content. Never, right? And do you think that it's possible that there has been no offending content for all these years in this age of disinformation, and foreign influence? Of course not. Obviously, there must have been. We just haven't heard of even a single case. Why is that? So, take a moment and think about that. Why is that? Social media has been around for over a decade, yet there's never been a case. In fact, I can tell you that I think one of my earliest videos was exactly about India flexing her muscles to bring Twitter into line, right, with her laws, saying that, we've asked you to remove these accounts, this content. If you don't do it, we are actually going to enforce our laws and, take your executives in India to court and charge them, right? And that was, resisted very strongly, and the news reported that, oh my gosh, India is being very tyrannical, they are quashing freedom of speech and so on and so on. And I remember the context was that India was having some very serious protests going on in New Delhi regarding some bill relating to farmers, and farmers were protesting on the streets of New Delhi. Now, perhaps there's a perfectly reasonable, you could imagine that they have a perfectly good reason, like farmers, to protest on the streets. However, if I'm not mistaken, the government judged that, there's a potential for violence. We need to, calm things down. So remove these accounts, all right? Or maybe they come back later, maybe not, I don't know. But the point being that Twitter refused to do it, so that they tied the government's hands. They could not calm the situation down as much as they would have wanted. So they threatened to sue Twitter. And so that was the one and only case that I could remember, from years and years of following these topics. And what does that tell you, right? That it seems like nobody's really regulating these internet companies. And nowadays, we start seeing it. And it's not just Indonesia. And now that you've seen this, right, seems like if you were, imagine that you are on the side of Indonesia and you're trying to resist, foreign influence and lies online to harm your country. Now, this is exactly how you would do it, right? Pretty mundane if you wanted to honestly block off, harmful content. Leaving aside intentions, okay? If you wanted to have the right toolkit, it'll kind of look like that, right? And Indonesia is not the only one. Singapore has also passed a law. And let me show you a little bit about it. It's only quite recently. See, Parliament passes bill to deal with foreign interference after a 10-hour debate, reported in October 2021. So, fairly recent, right? About half a year ago. Now, here's the thing about Singapore, though. So here, okay, Parliament passes bill to deal with foreign interference after 10-hour debate. Wow, that's really serious, right? This has got to be some really heavy-duty bill. Let's read on to find out what this bill is all about. Okay, Foreign Interference Countermeasures Bill. Okay, seeks to prevent, detect, disrupt the use of hostile information campaigns, local proxies to interfere in domestic politics. Okay, bill was passed following time. Okay, right. Following calls from, all right, understanding order. Whoa, the foreign interference. Now, are you okay? What does it say? Applies to public at large and not specifically apply to an. What is this? Where I'm waiting for this news piece to say what the bill actually says, kind of like what we saw of Reuters. However technical is okay, we'll not make some news public, not so as not to tip off hostile actors, all right? And this just goes on and on and on. Okay, I can scroll as slowly as I want, or you would want, but I can tell you I've read it. It actually doesn't say anything about what the bill is like. Hold on a moment. I absolutely have to turn on the lights. So, it doesn't say anything about what the bill actually describes. Nothing. It doesn't say, okay, what we're trying to combat, what the measures are like, will there be fines, will people go to jail, do we reserve the right to jail people, how much the time window they have to comply, do they are required to delete content or remove content or block people? What is it? Nothing. And it's so long. The new law sets out requirements for politically significant parties accepting donations, blah 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 blah. There's absolutely nothing. And see, it ends here. All right. and you think, okay, maybe this website, Channel News Asia, screwed up and they didn't report it. Okay, right. I found it on Google anyway. That's Channel News Asia right there. Then I checked out what's this? The Straits Times, right? So here it is, and I skimmed through it because these are the two most respected news media in Singapore: Straits Times and Channel News Asia. We can argue about their order and everything, but they're definitely among the top. So here we are, 5 things to know. It's gotta include something about what this law actually says, right? Right. Let's go. What is FICA? Okay. It's a law to empower authorities. All right. Examples include artificially amplifying certain views. All right. Why was it introduced? Yes, of course, because there are many instances of information campaigns. Okay. What and who does it target? Yes, maybe it's something here. FICA targets foreign entities. Okay. It does not target Singapore. Oh, right. What is the process like? Yes. All right. First, the authorities identify a suspected campaign. Then they determine the campaign is directed at a political end. Okay. Then they can issue direction to stem the spread. What? Third parties can then be compelled to block certain accounts or content in Singapore. Finally. So, what is this? This is so absurd. 5 things you have to know about the law. It takes us, up to 0.4 to get something approaching, an rough baseline understanding of what's going on, right? And then it introduces, some more detail, like something about politically significant persons. Yeah, that's a special thing going on in Singapore. So certain kinds of special people will, subject to special consideration. what concerns have been raised and what were the responses. All right, blah blah blah. It doesn't really matter. Point is, for such a a big law that's like with so much said about it, because it's a big deal in Singapore, it seems like the only information you actually get is like 2 sentences. It's just kind of very very scanty, and so I did this thing that nobody in Singapore likes. I went to some foreign website. I'm so sorry. I went to Human Rights Watch. It just appeared in the Google results, and I'll show you. I'll prove it. Here, Channel News here. Oh, here's the Attorney General, but I'm not gonna read the Attorney General's website. It's all like legal speak. It's too boring. So the third result was Human Rights Watch. Okay, so what does it say? So the part that's relevant is here, all highlighted. The law empowers the Minister of Home Affairs to order the removal or disabling of online content. Let's see. You can order publication of mandatory messages drafted by the authorities, right, to clarify matters. Ban apps from being downloadable. Order disclosure of private communication and information. When the minister suspects or believes that someone's undertaking or planning online communication activity on behalf of a foreign actor, right, and it's a public interest to act, right? Okay. So that is the level of detail we're talking about, right? Isn't it kind of a little bit? It's a little bit scandalous that this law, the biggest news media in Singapore, I read from the 2 most trusted news organizations. The best I can get is 2 sentences. I have to go to Human Rights Watch, where they, actually say something that's a little more specific, right? Publishing. I cannot even English today. Publishing mandatory messages, banning apps from being downloaded, disclosure of private communication information. The third one's a little more iffy. But you see, let me come all the way back to our original thing. So, Indonesia and Singapore have laws about this information campaigns, foreign interference, and in relation to social media. And this is definitely a thing that matters. I mean, after all, everybody in the world has heard of like Russian disinformation, right? First in relation to U.S. presidential elections, then after that in relation to the war in Ukraine. So everybody knows about this thing and is told that it's really serious and really dangerous. So it seems like these developments, like them or not, are rather in keeping with the spirit of the times. And why is this a matter that I'm talking about during this video? It's because, well, Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? So wouldn't this make things really tricky for his buddy Pak Jokowi, whose country, whose parliament has just passed a law that critics call, some of the strictest on Earth, on planet Earth. And, in Singapore as well, where Twitter's Asia Pacific headquarters are currently situated. So, how does this, sit with Mr. Musk? Well, this is actually much ado about nothing, because I would like to show you the exact tweet that addresses this topic. So, it seems that Elon Musk has already addressed this before. By free speech, he advocates free speech, and he says, by free speech, I simply mean that which matches the law. I am against censorship that goes far beyond the law. If people want less free speech, they will ask the government to pass laws to that effect. Therefore, going beyond the law is contrary to the will of the people. So, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's all settled. So, Twitter under Elon Musk will adhere to the principles of free speech within the limits of the law. And that is the beginning and the end of it. So, if you took this, issue to Indonesia and Singapore, well, Twitter will just follow the law. And if it was referring back to the India case, where the government was threatening to drag Twitter before the courts, and Twitter actually, of course, used their high-powered lawyers to push back. Well, Musk Twitter would just say, all right, we'll follow the law. That's it. End of story. So is that better or is that worse? Well, I kind of think that companies should obey the law. I think that's a very reasonable thing, right? In every country, I think if you ask people living in that country, should foreign companies obey the law? The answer would always be yes. Always. I don't think you easily find someone who sincerely believe that, oh yeah, foreign companies should be above the law. No, I don't think they could find someone like that. So this is really much ado about nothing. You may or may not agree with the laws as they are drafted, with their intent, with how they're implemented. But the spirit of it, that is, well, companies should obey the law, and if people have a problem with the law, they should be dealing with their government on that. That kind of is beyond argument, I would say, right? So let me wrap this up. We've already stated that Elon will be coming to Indonesia in, was it November, I think, and he'll be considering opening up facilities for Tesla and SpaceX. By then, probably he'll be owner of Twitter. It'll be a really interesting time. I reckon that Twitter will see a big uptick in usage, over the next few months in our part of the world. And it'll be cool. It'll be really fun. So, once again, everybody, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, notification bell, everything, all the good stuff. Check out the other videos that, I've done, if you like. I'll put some for all the website that I showed you today. The links will be in the show notes below. Check them out. And yeah, I'll talk to you again when I have another topic. Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah. And thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. As always, every time we meet here, it is a reminder of the excellent relationship you and I share on this wonderful thing called YouTube. I'll talk to you again really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.